Washington, D.C., Ireland, San Diego, Western New York State. All right. That's pretty cool. Michigan. Oh, I was in Michigan not too long ago to watch the Leafs play. We won. Boston. There you go. Been to Boston a couple times. Love Boston. Great culture there. Do not like the Bruins, though, believe it or not. It's unfortunate. Got someone from Jersey. All right. Hopefully not a Yankees fan. Alberta. Oh, there's Chris from Alberta. Welcome, Chris. If you are a Yankees fan, I do not mind. I was just joking. Kansas City. Kansas City hurts as a Jays fan. But welcome. All righty. Let's kick it off. So this is the inaugural presentation, the first one, the first webinar I'll be delivering here, hopefully of many at Booth.Events. And I really wanted to focus on our new prompting feature and give everybody kind of some context and hopefully some strategies that you can implement in the field that will help you make amazing prompts, that will wow the people who come to your booth, wow the people who have hired you, hopefully help you create and generate a lot of upsell and business. At Booth.Events, our goal is always empowering you all to scale your business and make sure that the product that you get and the product you deliver is fantastic. So we'll continue to strive for that, and hopefully we can deliver that for you. So let's go. All righty. So here's a little synopsis of what I'm going to cover today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about prompts, what they are, how they're kind of unique in our situation. We'll talk about game planning, how to kind of attack a prompt. And then most importantly, now that I know you all know where the chat is, I'm going to take suggestions from the chat. I'm going to go into the Booth.Events platform, and I'm going to live build a prompt, and we'll test it. Should be fun. Could be very embarrassing. Who knows? That's the beauty of improv. And then at the end, I'm going to try and leave some time for Q&A, where you throw your questions in the chat. I'll answer them live. If I don't know the answer, I will get back to you, and we'll kind of get it going that way. Does anybody have any questions about that? If you do, throw it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer that. All right, we're good. So this is kind of what makes us different in prompting. In general, prompting is just interacting with an AI platform. What you're doing is you're making a request to the AI platform to have it generate something for you. You're looking for an outcome. Normally, people will prompt and ask AI to generate completely new things, or they'll ask it to take information and give them an output that is complex, or an output that is easy for them to understand with a complex input. Take all of these Excel spreadsheets and give me the data insights. Create an infographic out of that. Those are examples of prompts. Those are examples of way in which people interact with ChatGPT every day, with Gemini, with all of these other AI platforms that we offer. Or not that we offer, that are out there. What makes us different is we're using AI specifically for booths. And that's why you're here, right? You know that. Makes perfect sense. And that's what makes the prompt framework a little bit different. You're going to take the source image from the camera, we're going to run it through the AI model, and then we're going to get an output image. And that output image is what you're looking for at the end of the day. That's what you're looking to deliver to your clients. That's what you're looking to wow your guests with. So it's important that when we talk about prompts and when you start doing research on prompts and building prompts on your own, you understand that the pathway to that prompt is a little bit different than what general google.ca or google.com or google.ie, or google.it, I think it is in Italy. It's a little bit different in what you're looking for. People will give you prompt inputs to generate a whole character. We're not generating a character. We're actually editing a photo. So keep that in mind when you're copy pasting prompts and testing them out. Just a little food for thought. It took me a while to wrap my head around that. So I thought I would give you that insider tip to hopefully start you out with success. So you may be wondering, how Do you do it? How do I take this complex idea I have in my head and translate it into the platform to have that AI model take my input image and give me that output? Well, you're in the right place. Check out this article. I wrote this article. This article came out with the feature. It's available in our help desk alongside many other support articles, many other things about AI credits, frequently asked questions, any troubleshooting, any errors, any features. We have tons of information on our help desk. You can check this out. If you reach out to us, you're either going to get myself generally or Gregory. And a lot of the time our comments will come back with, hey, could you reference this article? Could you check out this article? But this will be the article that you're looking for in terms of prompting. It's a great starting place. But let's do it live. So here is the 4 essential pieces to prompting. You need a task. What do you want the AI model to do? You need context. Give it a vision. Paint the picture for it. Then you can give it references. References can come through text. They can come through images. Our model currently supports 2 additional reference photos that you can add in tiers. We also have a feature in which you can add multiple photos in a tier, and it will randomly select that reference photo to give you a little bit of unpredictability. The key here, and you'll see this when we do it live, is iteration. Iteration is key to success when it comes to prompting. And what iteration is simply is failing and making it better and making it better and making it better, and then stepping back 2 steps because you realize you've taken it far too far. You need to be able to continue to chip away at the prompt you're inputting into the system. You want to make sure that your vision is truly coming to life. You're not going to do a one and done prompt generally because it's not going to work in all of the situations you're looking for. A good, healthy, successful prompt will go through multiple iterations and multiple different scenarios to allow you to find that success. That is part of the reason why when you do go through the platform and you are creating your prompts, you do have the availability to use different reference photos. If you want a group, if you want a single person, if you're worried about how, people with fair skin or red hair or braids or a suit, if you want to see what these people will look like when you run your prompt, you can do that in the platform. It is also why we've discounted the generation fee that you pay when you generate on your prompts to see the outputs. They come at a fraction of the cost of a full prompt that is all broken down in the AI credits FAQ, which you can find on the help desk. The last slide, look at that. So there's a couple things to take into account when it comes to prompting. There is an order I do recommend to organize your prompt, okay? And that's going to be subject, which is basically the input photo. So you want to make a reference to that early. You want to basically say, like, take the subjects in the photo and do this thing with it. You want to then have the scene, set it up for the scene, give it a style, and then give it constraints. So it's going to be subject, the person, scene, what you want to do with them, style, is it photorealistic? Is it animated? Is it impressionist? Is it an oil painting? What is the style you want that output in? And then constraints. And what constraints are is where you tell it, do this or don't do that. Can't you read the sign? And you basically will tell it, I want, if it's a woman, I want them to wear this outfit. If it is a man, I want them to wear this outfit. And it will work within those constraints. Or if you're generating a tourist hotspot and you don't want people to be in there, you want to specify that. One other thing to take into account is in that scenario, you don't want something in there. If you're on a street, and you don't want cars in there, a lot of people will say no cars. My recommendation is give it a little bit more flavor because it's going to give you a more specific output. Instead of saying no cars, just try and say an empty, deserted street with no signs of traffic. Immediately in your head, when you hear those two sentences, you should be seeing two different pictures. You should be able to envision what those look like. No cars, okay, that doesn't really give me a lot. But an empty, deserted street with no signs of traffic really paints a vivid picture for me. Hopefully it does for you too. You can let me know in the chat. If it doesn't, go ahead, let me know. And it will allow you to be able to, create these really great prompts with great outputs. And there is a question from Brian in the chat that I'm just going to address. I know a lot of people love to go to ChatGPT and generate prompts first. There's nothing wrong with that. Use the tools that you want to use to help you get the framework. What I recommend is you're going to iterate on that prompt. So you're going to take that prompt from ChatGPT, you're going to bring it into Booth.Events, you're going to bring it into the Nano Banana realm, and you're going to run it. And you're going to see how it looks. And then what you need to do is iterate off that prompt. Subtly, I struggle to say that word, but subtly change the prompt to get you your desired output. ChatGPT, when it thinks about a prompt, it's thinking about you just interacting with the platform. You can give it context, but I find when you give it that context, it still isn't fully there. So if I were to take that directly from ChatGPT and put it into the model that we run, we get good results. We wouldn't get great or consistent results. It would require some iterating, changing words here and there, and proofreading it. You can see some examples of that in our Facebook community where there's some great results that people have posted, and I've kind of chimed in and given my 2 credits, if you will, on that, and be able to see that in action. But thank you, Brian. That's a great question, and it's a great tool for people to use. I recommend people use all their resources they can when they are looking at creating these. All righty. Let's go to the next slide. So I'm going to walk you through how I made this image. If you can't tell, that's blurry me from 1990s, cable television's greatest show, Whose Line Is It Anyways? You could tell the image is super low quality. The reason the image is super low quality is because the input and reference image that I used was of that quality. And I wanted to maintain it because I wanted to give it some authenticity. I wouldn't recommend doing this at a booth if you're working with, people in an event. People don't generally like this kind of output, but just for demonstration, I figured I would go through this with you. So that's me instead of Drew Carey, a little less bearded, and just as blurry, which is great. So here's how we did it. We took this input photo of me in my purely egghead short beard phase. It's not a great photo, to be honest with you, but it was what I had handy. So this is what I worked with. So we took this input photo and we applied this prompt to it. Put the subject from the first photo behind the host's desk on the American sitcom Whose Line Is It Anyways? Make the picture photorealistic. Again, we're giving it the style with a crowd. Have the subject in a suit, giving it context. Use the second image for the environment and set. That was that blurry image that you saw. Replace the person behind the desk with the subject from the first reference photo. Match the grainy, distorted 90s broadcast television style. So I've kind of given it a lot of context. I've reiterated what the style is. I've given it a purpose. I've told it what I wanted it to do, right? And that was the output. So this is the input photo that I put in. Originally, you can see Drew Carey there. He's holding his cards. He's got his signature glasses on, doing his thing. And this was the output. So not a bad output for a prompt in which I just wanted something kind of for the gag, for the humor, for the riff. And that's what I went in with. So you may be thinking like, okay, well, you spent a lot of time doing that. What does it kind of matter? Can you do it quick? Can you do it live? I need more context. And that's what we're going to do. So I would love for you all to drop your suggestions in the chat of a prompt you would like to see me execute. What I'd love to do is whatever prompt I go with, I'm going to build the prompt, and then I'm going to add it to our public prompt library so you all have access to it. I think that'll be a really great way to, bolster the community and be able to come up with some stuff. So I would love if you would all give me some suggestions in the chat. That would be great. Baseball something something. That's a good one. There is a public prompt already for baseball something something, which is non-specific to a team, which is great. Can we do one geared towards weddings? We can definitely do one geared towards weddings. Any more kind of ideas on that? Just something a little bit more specific would be great. All right, now they're kind of flowing in. I can see they took a little bit of time for people to get them ready. Baseball at the plate, hitting a home run. Hyper realistic, just cinematic 8K image. Okay. I mean, George, your prompt looks pretty much ready to ship. We can try that, but in case we have Vogue magazine, watercolor one. Someone did, and everyone was dressed well. 3 people at a Patriots game, tailgate, wearing Patriots gear. Like, kept their outfits, yes. Callie, I know the post that you're referring to. It may also be part of our AI portraits catalog versus the AI prompts, which does watercolor outputs. We have a movie poster, confident male professional racing driver stands confidently behind the K. All right. Surfing on a shark is a fun one too. Okay. Okay, there you go. So Tim is saying that watercolor one in the group was built with a prompt. So there you go. All right, I'm just going to get logged in here to my Booth.Events account, and we're going to do it live. I'm going to go with let's do like a Vogue magazine wedding themed prompt. Why not? All right, here we go. Race car one, International Road. Okay, yeah, cool. All right. Well, why don't we try, because improv is improv, why don't we take the wedding idea, the racing idea, and we'll try and smash them together and make a wedding themed race car photo shoot. Why not? We'll see how it goes. So to get to the AI prompts, what we're going to do is we're just simply going to go to AI prompts, and you'll see a bunch of my random AI prompts that I've been fooling around with and generating. Some of them make it to the public, some of them don't. Like this spaghetti man was petrifying, so I kind of left that alone. All right, let's go. What should we call it? Talladega. I don't know how to spell Talladega. Nope, that's tailored. Hopefully that's right. If it's not, let me know. Talladega fairy tale. Why not? All right, super important. You do want to agree to the terms of service. This terms of service states liability for anything that's copyright. It's really important. We don't want to be held liable for those type of things, and we don't want you to accidentally, sometimes accidentally on purpose, break copyright laws and have a cease and desist order issued. So really important. Have a read, make sure you agree, and we're going to create. Now you can see my input photos here. This one was actually one somebody submitted on the Facebook group. But I've got a varied amount. There's Chris. I'm going to delete that photo of Chris because it's probably embarrassing for him. And we have all of our public prompts at the end. These are the really great ones. These are the really quality. This is kind of what I use as my gold standard. And then I kind of have my fun ones here. Some people that we work with. This is good because it gives me like an in-environment flash. So I keep that. This gives me a golden hour. And then we have some couple stuff when we're looking at weddings. We have some groups. One thing I would like to highlight, there was some responses in the forum talking about group prompts. In my experience, the prompting currently works best with groups of up to 3. 2 is great, 1 is really great. Groups of 5, I know a lot of people are requesting for prompts that work with up to groups of 5. And while they can work, sometimes I find the more I generate them, the more variability that's in them. So I can't guarantee the results of it. I do not suggest doing groups over 3. If you want to, and you feel empowered to, and you find the result that gets it to you every time, share your secret. Let me know so we can tell everyone and really make a positive community that way. So that being said, we are going to kick it off. So I'm going to start with my egghead photo, as I always do. This is a great starting line to help people figure out. I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit because I feel like it might be better. All right, there you go. This placeholder line is a really great starting point for people. You can literally just delete this and you can start typing in whatever you want. What I like to do is go in and create my own beginning. And what we're looking for is a Talladega Nights, NASCAR. I'm going to go NASCAR. I know a lot of people love F1. So I'll do NASCAR and we'll kind of go from there, and then you guys can kind of riff off of it. And a wedding photo. So hopefully we'll get a nice bride and groom sort of scenario, or just somebody in a suit. All right, here we go. So I'm going to give it first the direction. Here we go. Create a. Now this is something I love to do is subjects, but subject bracket S bracket. I find this works really great on detecting single and multiple people. I find if you use words like create a portrait of the people, create a portrait of everybody, create a portrait of, insert word here. If you use people or a plural, it will force itself to try to generate more people. I've found in my experience that subject like this is a really great way to deliver an image that is encompassing of groups and solo people. So we're going to go with that. Create a portrait of the subjects as NASCAR racers who are celebrating their wedding. Right? So some people will stop here and they'll generate a photo. So we'll just do that to kind of see. We're going to actually choose a couple because that'll give us, and we're just going to stop here and see what it gives us. And this is kind of, I'm going to try and go through a little bit of iteration here. Normally I wouldn't stop here. Normally I would continue and give it more context, more restraints, and generate, but just so we can see it live from the jump, not too shabby. He's holding the Finnish flag. It's like a Finnish flag trophy sort of scenario, which is a little weird. But we've got some signs. Congrats for loved. All right. So let's give it some more context. So create a subject for the next K. The photo takes place on the racetrack with the woman in a white racing suit with a veil. It's a great way to represent the bride. What other context should we give it here? The man is a black racing suit. All right. Cool. With a tuxedo pattern. Winner circle. Okay. The men's in a black suit with a kick. Great. Now we're going to give it a little bit more scene painting. The picture takes place during the twilight hours. The background is soft focused. I find soft focus works really well with backgrounds. It gives it sort of a depth and authenticity. A soft focused NASCAR with just married painted on the rear window. The photo is shot with a medium format camera using a 35mm lens. Sorry about my dog. She's really into prompting. All right. So let's see what it gives us here, and then we'll kind of iterate off of that. Okay. So we're getting there, right? That's a little bit more NASCAR friendly. Let's do the bride and groom are lit by the track lights, causing a natural shadow and rim of light. We'll try that. Put a space here. And basically what I'm doing is in my head, I have an output image. I know what I want to see, and I'm trying to break it down, and I'm trying to describe it. Composition is key. Lighting is key. Distance is great. Those type of things will give you the results that you're looking for. So just keep that in mind. Imagine you're literally speaking your idea into reality. All right, so just break it down. Think about it in pieces. There's one other difference I want to make here. Just married paint on the rear window, focused with with the back of the NASCAR. Are NASCAR cars called NASCAR cars or just NASCAR? Of the NASCAR of the, just put car. As you can tell, I love auto sports. Big thing for me. And let's see what we get. Great, perfect. We've got the just married. We've got the portrait. We've got the bride and groom. But let's give it a little bit more, atmosphere. The atmosphere, let's describe that, is joyous, romantic. Well, I'll give it a little romance. A little gasoline is a very romantic smell, I think. The atmosphere is joyous, romantic, and celebratory. So I have to sound things out to figure out how to spell them. The atmosphere is joyous. Joyous is a word, right? Oh, it's got an O in it. There you go. Thank you, autocorrect. Joyous, romantic, and celebratory. Maybe we'll put a little confetti. There is confetti flying naturally through the air and interacting with the So let's take a peek here and let's see. Now we're going to, oh, there you go. I think that's pretty good. I mean, we didn't get the backwards car in it. We got the car off to the side. So we could do a little bit more iterating to ensure we get that every time. We could work with their position. We could work with how the shot is. Is it a zoom? Is it a, is it from waist level up? Is it full body? We could throw a lot of that sort of information in there to kind of get it. But what I'm going to try and do here is add another layer of kind of complexity to this prompt. And let's try and make it look like it's a magazine cover. because we also had Vogue. So we'll try and work that in there somehow. So causing the natural decay. So we're going to go back, I would say, right about here. We're going to move this. I'm going to take this. I'm going to put that over there. So I'm going to move up this direction of light because I think lighting before the photo makes a little bit more sense. And I am just going to say goodbye to our Bright Booths AI friend as they've hit their 30-minute free limit. So sorry, you will have to take your own notes or watch the recording. So take it easy, Brightbot Booth note taker. I wish you had a name. You were so young. All right. So let's make this that magazine cover. All right. This photo is printed on the front cover of a magazine. And let's give that some context. I'm going to separate this by paragraph just so it helps my brain think about that. The magazine is on a rack that is full of different magazines. And let's see what that looks like. Just to kind of give us an idea. Is it possible? Is it not possible? Should I iterate on it? Have I gone too far? Have I given it the Jurassic Park? We need to think about those things when we're creating these prompts. I mean, race to the altar. It gave it a name. That's pretty good. Speeding into forever inside the high octane nuptials of, I don't know who Hotis Dressy, I'm just creating jargon here. But you can see it's done this. Now what we would do is give it more context of where this magazine is on the rack. As you can see, it's floating in midair, which is super awkward. So we can give it some context. We can put it in somebody's hands. We can put it on the rack beside these things. We could, those are the type of ways in which you can think about a prompt. So you start with your core idea, you create, you iterate, you look, and you say, should I take it further? Can I take it further? If you continue to do so, you're going to end up with some really cool prompts, some really cool results, some stuff that is, at the end of the day, I think is quite surprising to people. So we're going to, just for argument's sake, I'm going to change the magazine is on a rack. The magazine is on a coffee table. Let's give this a little bit more photorealistic. Coffee table beside a bouquet of wedding flowers. My favorite flower is a ranunculus and dahlias, so I'm going to put those in the bouquet. The bouquet is full of, I like coral color patterns, so I'm going to say coral colored dahlias and ranunculus. All right, let's see what this looks like. And this is kind of how I've built most of the public prompts. Some idea is in there. Take it, evolve it, smash it together. That's not terrible. That's not terrible for just us coming up with it. The ranunculuses look great. The dahlias are in full bloom. Coral color, exactly what I imagined. There's my coffee table, natural lighting. There's the checkered flag love. This is just to show you what you can do. I don't know that your customers or clients or people who come to the booth are going to want the end result of this magazine being flat on a table. While it's nice to look at and great to see, it's not necessarily a great experience coming from a booth. So I'm just going to take that out because I feel like we've gone too far. And I'm going to take it right back to that portrait photo. And there we go. We're back. We've got the back of the car back. We've got the bride, the happy bride and groom. We've got the confetti. We've got the twilight. We've got the track lights. It's interacting with them. It's a pretty great picture, I think. So that is going to be my preview image because I think that's good. Yeah, uh, I think it's Ade Imaging. Feel free to throw your question in the chat. There's no need to raise hands. Mics are going to be auto muted and cameras will be off. So throw your text in the chat. I'll answer it live on the call. We'll kind of move through that. In saying that, that was pretty quick. I think I might have time for one more prompt. Handling gender and skin match. What I generally do, which isn't in this photo, funny enough, but a lot of the time, if I'm doing a convert, I'll just show you an example of that. Let's go Macho Man because I think it's hilarious. When I was using Macho Man, I go for this here. I wanted this only for one person because there's only one Macho Man. So what I go with is preserve the subject in the first images, unique facial features and bone structures. That I find will preserve as best as it can the gender and the skin. Gender and skin, and in fact, all of this prompt is handled through the Nano Banana AI, area. And because it's handled through the AI, there is sometimes a gender mismatch. It does happen. Tim himself gets rendered quite frequently as a woman. Not so much anymore, actually, in Nano Banana, but before we were testing some other solutions, it happened a lot more frequently. It's not perfect, but it is pretty good. I've noticed the results have been great. Sometimes all it takes is a regen. So you'll take the picture, it'll match them in the wrong gender. If you regenerate it, it'll find that match. That would be my advice on that. So the key is using the terms preserve the subject bracket S if you have more than one person in the first image, unique facial features and bone structure. I've found facial features and bone structure is a really great way to try, and if you're just getting the top of them, it tries to generate a body that would be in proportion of what their face is. Except when it comes to the Macho Man, who is giant. So we'll see that run down. And when it comes to preserving the outfit, the key to preserving the outfit is being really specific in your prompt. If you give it the specificity and you give it the reference image, it will do that. Here, I've just given it flamboyant Macho Man outfits, and that's what we're kind of getting. So it's a little bit more general. So I'm going to get riffs and variations on it. I like the randomness of that. I like the way that looks. A lot of the time, what I'll do is I'll give it more of kind of a general outfit style versus a specific outfit style when I'm doing transformations, because I want it to be in a category versus being in an ultra specific thing. And Brian saying, I've also noticed AI trends tend to slim people down, which turns some people off. Is there a prompt that generally keeps body type? That to me would be the bone structure. I try and go with that. I've found it generally will keep proportionate of the people to the output image. In saying that, the AI model itself will take some liberties. A lot of the time, if you're using fitness and things of that nature as an example, it will put them into more of that sort of body shape and size. I think one of the key things to remember is AI is optional for people. If people are sensitive about that, I do not recommend that they go with an AI execution. You can do your best to build a prompt, and you can build inclusive prompts. That's what our goal is. At the end of the day, they may get the result that they are turned off by. That is a risk that people take when they are interacting with current AI models. But thank you for that question, Brian. That's a great question. Any more questions, or I could try and build something else if anybody wants to see another one in action. This is a biker one. So you can see here's a group of 5 people, right? And I'm going to try and generate these 5 people, and we'll see what the result is. I'm just going to grab a water break there. Hydrate. We only got 3 on the output. So this prompt uses subjects, riders, everything is plural. And we'll find when we go to a trio, a lot of the time the trio will come up, but the 5 will not. The model really struggles with that. I tried to poke and prod and figure it out. That is our current recommendation. There is the trio. There is the subjects. And there is the output. Any more suggestions for a prompt? I can quickly build one. Or I can show you the new kind of aspect that I'm exploring here, which is a multiple photo output. You may have seen one of these in the public prompts already for through the eras, where we put you in different eras. But this is a really interesting way to approach prompts and is kind of more of on the advanced side, I would say. Okay, Speakeasy 20 and Northern Lights for New Year's. Okay, cool. I'll do that right after this, try and build something quickly. This is a interesting output that you can use. And basically what this is create a 2x2 grid of the following prompt. So I'm giving it context before I even give it what I want it to do. Each image should take up 1 square with a thin white border around each image. In every image, preserve the subject's facial features and bone structure. And then I've given it, this is key here. When you do something like this, I've told it which image goes where. Image 1, top left. This is what I want you to do. Image 2, top right. This is what I want you to do. And you can really create some cool stuff here. You could have a young version of somebody and an old version of somebody in a side-by-side. Stuff like that. This prompt is not done, so I won't necessarily copy and paste that one. But what I will show you is we have this one here, which is the Through the Eras prompt, which gives you 6 photo outputs. This is already in the public prompt. So if you scroll down here, you'll see it right here. And it kind of uses the same pattern here, using all the subjects in the first, create 6, create a single high resolution flow composed of a 2x3 grid. So you can take this, chop it up, and make it your own. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so to answer, Brian, your question on logos, you want to give the logo as a reference image. That's key. So remember when we talked about reference images, you want to be able to add that logo there and be very specific about where you want it, how you want it to be used. Here's where I was talking about more reference images. So you can go in here and you can add the images, the logos, things of that nature, and get it to generate based off of that. As Tim said, the best place for consistency, if you want something that looks the exact same every single time, I would use the AI portraits feature. We do custom AI portraits. They do come at a fee, but the generations are included in your plan currently. So keep that in mind. It is another opportunity or option for you. So again, I'm going to take the 2 suggestions. I'm going to try and smash them together. I know there's generally not windows in a speakeasy, but I'm going to try and see if I can create like a 1920s Art Deco, Greg Gatsby-esque feel. And then we'll try and put them in front of a window. Through the window, you can see the northern lights. We'll see if that's possible. All right, here we go. So create a photorealistic. Now you'll see I sometimes will use photorealistic and non-photorealistic portrait because I'm trying to give it the style I want it in. I really love playing in photorealistic. I think that is a really great place. A lot of people use animated, totally up to you. So here we go. Create a photorealistic portrait of the subjects. That first. All right. So I've tried to, I might change the wording of that a little bit. In my head, I'm like, how do I explain how these people are or who they are attending the bar? So I'm going to call them patrons of a 1920s speakeasy bar. Great. The subjects, give them that context here. The restraints should be styled in era specific. And we'll see if this works. If not, I'm going to add more context. I'm going to give it 1920s as an input. 1920s era specific, but let's go with era specific first and see if it works. The subject should be styled in era specific clothing and accessories. Accessories. All right. Place the subjects in front of we're going to say holding cocktails. Through the window, there is, the sky is visible. Lights. I know that this sounds redundant, northern lights. The sky's visible with the northern lights lighting up the sky, but I'm going to try and give it that context. Through the skies, okay, northern lights, great. The atmosphere is of the roaring 20s, give it that context. Roaring 20s, celebration, glee, and a little bit of mystery. Why not? The overall aesthetic is Art Deco and reminiscent of The Great Gatsby. Why not? We'll try that. Okay, the subjects are framed off to the left, 3/4 turned towards the camera in a natural celebratory pose, shot on a, let's say shot on a film camera with grain and warm tones. Let's see what this looks like. Let's see how we're doing. That's not terrible. That's not terrible. I think that is pretty decent for a first shot. So now we could give it some more context. Do we want confetti? Do we want champagne spraying in the sky? Do we want these type of things? But just for time's sake, I'm going to keep it like this. And now I'm going to go in, I'm going to test it with two people. I'm going to test it with a male and female. That way I can try and get some context of what this is going to dress women in versus dress men in. Is it going to work? Is it going to be able to give me that output? Okay, great. Still pretty good. It's showing full body. So I would be more specific if I just want, again, like a proper portrait, if I want a medium zoom, if I want a close up, if I want an extreme close up, those type of things. But again, pretty good with some natural subjects in the background. I think that would be pretty good at an event. So let's see. We're going to go to one of our 3 prompts. We'll take these ladies. We'll see if it works. All right. How would you build a prompt if clients ask you to integrate props and branding into the file? For example, Amazon rolling Amazon branding package. That's right. Because this is right now. Yeah. Would you include a reference image to the scene in the box? I would try that. I would, whatever you think is the most important, I would use that as a reference image. Whatever you want the most consistent is the way that I would go with that. So if the Amazon logo needs to be there, I would give it the Amazon logo because that's the most important thing. The reality is right now in this model with Nano Banana, there is going to be variations every time you generate the image. I have not figured out a way. I don't think there is a way. To be honest with you, we would have to train our own model, which we have done with our AI portraits, in order to get you the same output image every time. That would be the way in which you would do that. I think that the key here is based on the terms of service. Like Amazon is a logo, which is copyright, so there would be some sort of legality to that, a signing of a waiver to be able to generate based off that logo, et cetera, et cetera. So to answer your question non-specifically to your use case, whatever is most important to stay the same, use those as your reference photos. A logo, a outfit, a background, wherever you want them, you can give them that sort of context to fine tune it more. So we've seen it with 3 now, we've seen it with 2, we've seen it with 1, we've seen it with different skin tones, we've seen it with different hairstyles, we've seen that sort of thing. Let's try 4. And this is kind of the way that I flow through my prompts. Is I'll make my prompts, I'll test on 1, I'll see if it's good, I'll test on 2, I'll test on 3, and then I'll kind of work my way up. And what you'll notice is, like, when you move to more people, still doing a great job of handling 4, that's great. But if I were to move to 5, which for some reason is a number that people love to use, maybe there's a lot of video game players, and in video games a lot of the time your team size is 5, which is great. We've gotten 4. We haven't gotten the 5th. So it will exclude some people, and sometimes it'll actually replicate people's faces. So again, do not recommend using for groups of 5. I recommend for up to 3. You can get away with 4 at points. But one thing I do love to use is I love to use Kevin's picture here, because he is fair skinned and he does have red hair, which is a rarity. It is an outlier, and I like to test for that and see kind of how it'll land with him. I test with myself because I'm bald, so I want to see, is it going to give me hair? What would I look like with hair? I miss my hair, so I'll use myself a lot as well to see that sort of thing. There you go. The king of the speakeasy himself. You can literally hear him going, wow, see here. That's perfect. So I'm quite happy with that. And that's kind of prompting. It seems very hard. It seems very difficult. I recommend, again, in our help desk, we do have, you can just search the knowledge base for AI prompts 101, and there we are. And this goes through the same thing that I just talked about. It's in text, it's right there, task, context, reference, putting it into practice. Here we see me become like a noir detective. There I am smoking a stogie, and using additional reference pieces, reference images. And here's some best practices for success. What I've also included here is a shot list cheat sheet to kind of give you context on how framing works in shots. What I use a lot is I just Google, either photography styles, art styles, things like that. So it kind of helps me translate what I'm envisioning in my head into words. Do not be afraid to do that. It's a great idea. Yeah, and what I will say outside of that, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Thanks for the interaction in the chat. I really appreciate it. You all have come from all over the world. Truly, really, really appreciate it. I will likely submit just a follow-up asking for any feedback if you have any. And we'll action that on the next one. I will be running this more frequently. The information will be repetitive for you all, but if you want to come in, have some fun, interact, and meet some more boothers, it's a great place to be and join. Don't forget, Friday, you get Tim, who's in the chat. It will be leading his own webinar on an intro to and a demo of the software, basically running through an event, which will be great. So thank you all. Robert, I will keep the prompts coming. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, etc. Photo Booth Company, all of you people there. We'll see you on Friday. I'll see you in the emails. Have a great